Howdy, it's Matt here, and this is part 3, and where we look at the mental bonsai build so that you could make one yourself. Now, before we go any further, let's go and see why you might want to build such a mental bonsai. Enough said. Watch these couple of clips. Now, before we go any further, I would like to say that I am now banned from flying this at the normal airfield. So when you see me flying this one in the future, it won't be at the location which you've seen me before. A couple of the older guys there, they don't like the noise of it, and especially when you chase two of these around. So absolutely mental. Does come with a word of caution. You might upset your peers at your flying club if you make a model like this. Happy days. You'll notice on my desk I've got two bonsais, and the reason for that is that what I'm going to show you first is the normal build of a bonsai. Now, I did originally start this off with little 3.6 gram servos, and they lasted 4 or 5 flights, but then we ripped them out. And metal geared servos now, I paid £1.80 each, obviously from China for those, and I got them on eBay, and I'll pop the details underneath you as well. They're metal geared, and that's what I also run with the ultra fast bonsai. And again, I did put 9 gram plastic geared servos in there, and again, first flight I was only taking it gentle, and I managed to strip all the gears in them. So I've kind of given up with plastic geared servos now, especially in applications like this one where you are ragging it within an inch of its life. You do need the more torque, and you do need the better gearing system which metal gears give you. Anyway, coming back onto topic. So this is what you would call a normal bonsai. This is just an EPP foam wing. There's absolutely nothing to it at all. It weighs way underneath a kilogram. It's really, really light. And this is what you would class as a standard setup. Now, for that would be just a little 2S or 3S battery to go with a small motor. This is actually a quadcopter propeller, a little 50-50 one on there to give a nice little bit of thrust. On the back, you'll see what I've been and done here is that I've got a battery strap and one of those ID cards. So if you've never seen Ed from Experimental Airlines, he's a big advocate of using these ID cards for making control horns and motor brackets and things like that. But in this case, they provide a fantastic shield. And again, also what I found, even on this really light one, is that when you come into land, this front point here wasn't high enough, and I kept ripping the cables off. So I've just drilled 2 little holes, popped a little zip clip in there, and happy days. Now, this motor is a CF2805 2840 kV motor. It's about £8 from Banggood.com. And the Velcro strip was only £1. And then inside, if I just tilt that to one side, you'll see that I've just got the standard little part flyer FrSky receiver, and I've got a 20 amp Afro ESC which has got the built-in back. Now this one flies absolutely fantastic, and this is what I actually use to warm up before I go and fly the nightmare bonsai underneath. It's really, really good fun, and that's what you class as a standard setup. You see people flying these in sports halls because they are extremely nimble and really, really good fun. Like I said, I use this one as a warm-up. So that's a basic build. Let's have a look at the more advanced build. Now, you've seen how fast this bonsai goes, and it's an absolute speed demon. It's far better than I ever expected. In fact, it went so fast, the back corner, the back 2 corners, 2 inches of the elevon blew off in front of me, and I managed to land it and watch what happened to the foam pieces. And unfortunately, since then, I've lost the tip on there, but it's absolutely mental. Now, the first thing to note on here, can you see that we've got a shiny finish on here? Now this is something called goop glue, and this is my biggest tip for when it comes to these flying wings or these EPP models, is that give them a coat of goop glue. Now of course you can use something like Copydex, and that works really well and is miles cheaper. But to give you an idea of how strong this goop glue is, this is what's left of my Texuma, which I killed about 2 weeks ago, is that this went full pelt into the ground. Okay, and it's the videos on YouTube, you can see it dying. I did love this Texuma, and hence I did a tribute video to it. But coming back onto the topic for the goop glue, is that it's rubberized. And in fact, if you can see me pinging it on there, is that went full pelt into the ground, and what actually broke was the wing up this way where I didn't have the goop glue. And with both bonsais, I've flown them into the ground at full speed, and they just bounce, and they bounce back up, and you can pick them up, just check over the connections and chuck them again, and off you go. So goop glue, absolutely brilliant. It makes like a rubberized shield to it. And another tip for the goop glue is put it around your motor mount on both sides. So on both sides, put goop glue, and up on the back edges as well. So if this does decide to vibrate and try and come loose, the goop glue will absorb some of the vibration for you. Now, coming back onto the topic for the Speed Demon, same setup again. We've got the metal geared servos, but this time the most obvious difference is the RS2205 racing quad or race spec motor. Now this has got a kV rating of 2600 kV and will run up to, now here's the thing, is that in the documents, if you look all across the internet, it will say it will run up to 5S battery, but they only put the maximum voltage down at, 16.8 volts. So I haven't tried it with 5S, but we'll see what happens with that. At some point, I've got 4S batteries and I've got 5S batteries. But on 3S, all the videos which I've put on YouTube and the ones which you've seen, it's only running a 3S battery. And to be honest, that's fast enough. The amount of thrust, I'm guessing, is going to be around 1.2 kilos, probably a little bit more, especially because I'm using a tri-blade prop. Now that is a 50-50 tri-blade prop with the ball nose ends on them as well. Okay, if we turn it over, what I've actually had to do, there we go, I've removed the card now, is that what I've actually had to do is that 30 amp ESC wasn't enough. What was happening is that when I put a 4S battery on there, and again I haven't put any videos on YouTube yet with this one running a 4S battery, is that you go up to full pelt and then you should just black out and just the motor would cut dead. You bring back off the throttle, and that must be the previous 30 amp ESC cutting in to then save itself. Now I'm looking at this, I actually do need to make a change here, and it's something which I found out a while ago, which is that when you do put this into the ground with a sudden gust of gravity, is that the weight goes down. So what actually happens, so if I crash this one right now, is that the ESC's got a great big lump of aluminium on there, that'll push down and it basically destroys the receiver. So if you're going to do this, make sure you put the ESC at the front and then the receiver at the back, so when you do plant it in the ground, that you don't end up killing your receiver. Okay, and yeah, that's probably my biggest tip for the layout of these. So I've been and moved to a 40 amp ESC. I haven't got any recordings of the flights with the 40 amp ESC, especially if you're putting the 4S battery in the front. She is very, very difficult to get going to actually launch her. But this combination is absolutely bonkers. And also, if you look underneath here, you'll see that, well, there's no point me showing the other one because I've done the same with that one as well. Been and put reinforcement carbon fiber strips in the elevons. That doesn't come out of the box for the bonsai. You'll need to get your own carbon fiber, which you can pick up for just £1 or £2 off Banggood. What you've also got, I've got another strip in here, and that's 2mm by 4mm, which I got from a carbon composites company over in Ireland. And then I've also done the same on the front. You'll see that I've got a carbon fiber strip. Again, the speed which this goes, I guess somewhere like a conservative estimate, 70 miles an hour, probably a lot more. I haven't tried clocking her to see what speed she does, But if that went in the ground, you need the model to survive, or at least have a fighting chance, and the combination of the extra supports in here and the goop glue work really, really well. So that's my bonsai build. It's pretty straightforward. I've kept things really simple. And again, my other biggest tip for you is to put an ID card in there, and that will keep your electronics safe and still. And again, when you come in, because there's no landing gear on this, so when you come into land, that will at least protect your electronics from the bulk of the impact when you come into land. So that's my bonsai. Any comments or suggestions, I'd very much welcome them. Please let me know in the comments below. Now, I did say that I'd give you a hint of where I'm going to take this one. In short, I believe I can make this bonsai fly faster. Now, also to give you an insight, is that I've got two motors down here. The first one is a DYS motor. Now, that will run up to 5S batteries, and that's an SE2805 2300 kV, so less kV, but will run at a higher voltage. So that's one which we're going to be looking at. And then I do have a special delivery which came from AliExpress, and this was actually a suggestion of Craig. So Craig, thank you for this one. Now this is a PayDisc. Let me put it on the screen for you. It's an MT2836, and then yes, that's right, that's 3500 kV. Now, I've not tested this motor yet. It's going to be really curious to see how it compares to this little smaller race spec motor. I've got a lot of hopes for this one. Unfortunately, I know from a friend which I fly with, he wasn't that impressed about it, but we'll put it on the test bench and we'll see what she does, and we probably need to go through a couple of different propellers to find out where we can get maximum thrust. Again, with something like this, I'm only expecting 4 minutes fly. I don't care about battery time, so efficiency means absolutely nothing to me for a model like this. Whereas the normal version, yeah, I'd like 8 minutes flight time. This one, 4 minutes, and that's enough. It's absolutely bonkers. So that gives you an idea where I'm going to take this one. I know there's more life in this motor. I know that we can make it faster with that. I've got another motor which we can try out, which is a slightly lower kV, but we can go up one extra cell up to 5S. And then we do have this little bad boy here, which is going to be really, really good fun. So that's the bonsai build. Like I said, any comments or suggestions, I'd love to hear from you. And with that said, from myself, Matt, cheerios.